All right, chapter 16. I will tell you just a little. Poor Blossom, Uncle Henry said, laughing after dinner that evening. It was bad enough that your mother was going to milk her after all these years of city life, but Anne Marie, to do it for the very first time, I'm surprised Blossom didn't kick you. Mamma laughed too. She sat in a comfortable chair that Uncle Henrik had moved from the living room and placed at the corner of the kitchen. Her leg, in a clean white cast to the knee, was on a footstool. Emery didn't mind their laughing. It had been funny. When she had arrived back to the farmhouse, she had run along the road to avoid the soldiers who might still be in the woods now. Carrying nothing, she was in no danger. Mamma and Christy were gone. There was a note hastily written from Mamma that the doctor was taking her in his car to the local hospital and that they would be back soon. But the noise from Blossom, forgotten and unmilked and uncomfortable in the barn, had sent Anne Marie warily out with the milking bucket. She had done her best, trying to ignore Blossom's irritated snorts and tossing her head, and remember how Uncle Henrik hands had worked with a firm, rhythmic pulling motion, and she had milked. I could have done it, Christy announced. You only have to pull and it squirts out. I don't do it. I could do it. It's easy. Emery rolled her eyes. I'd like to see you try, she thought. Is Ellen coming back? Christy asked, forgetting how the cow after a moment. She said she'd make me a dress for my doll. Anne Marie and I will help you make a dress, Mamma told her. Ellen had to go with her parents. Wasn't that a nice surprise that the Rosens came last night to get her? She should have waked me up to say goodbye, Christy grumbled, spooning some imaginary food into the mouth of the doll that she had propped up on the chair beside her. Anne Marie, Uncle Henrik said, getting up from the table, pushing his chair. If you come with me to the barn, I'll give you a milking lesson. Wash your hands first. Me too? Christy said. Not you too, Mamma said. Not this time. I need you to help me since I can't walk very well. You'll have to be my nurse. Christy hesitated, deciding whether to agree. Then she said, I'm going to be a nurse when I grow up, not a cow milker. So I have to stay here and take care of Mamma. Followed as usual by the kitten, Anne Marie walked with Uncle Henrik to the barn through the fine, misty rain that had begun to fall. It seemed to her that Blossom shook her head happily when she saw Henrik and knew she would be in good hands again. She sat on the stacked hay and watched them while he milked, but her mind was not on the milking. Uncle Henrik, she asked, where were the Rosens and the others? I thought you were taking them to Sweden on your boat, but they weren't there. Oh, they were there, he told her, leaning forward against the cow's broadside. You shouldn't know this. You remember what I told you? It's safer not to know. But, he went on, his hands moved with their sure, practiced motion, I will tell you just a little because you were so very brave. Brave? Emery asked, surprised. No, I wasn't. I was very frightened. You risked your life. But I didn't even think about that. I was only thinking of, he interrupted her, smiling. That's all that brave it means. Not thinking about the dangers, just thinking about what you must do. Of course you were frightened. I was too today. But you kept your mind on what you had to do, and so did I. Now let me tell you about the Rosens. Many of the fishermen have built hidden places in their boats. I have too. Down underneath, I have only to lift the boards in the right place, and there is room to hide a few people. Peter and the others from the resistance who work with him bring them to me, and the other fishermen as well. There are people who hide them and help them along the way to Gilligally. Amory was startled. Peters and the resistance? Of course, I should have known that. He brings Mom and Dad the secret newspaper, Da Frio Dusk, and he has always seems to be on the move. I should have figured that out myself. He is a very, very brave young man, Uncle Henrik said. They all are. Amory frowned, remembering the empty boat in the morning. Were the Rosens and the others there, then, underneath when I brought the basket? Uncle Hedrick nodded. I heard nothing, Amory said. Of course not. They had to be absolutely quiet for many hours. The baby was drugged so it wouldn't wake and cry. Could they hear me when I talked to you? Your friend Ellen told me later that they heard you and they heard the soldiers come to search the boat. Amory's eyes widened. The soldiers came? She asked. I thought they went the other way after they stopped me. Oh, there are many soldiers in Gilligally, and they're all along the coast. And they are searching the boats now. They know the Jews are escaping, but they are not sure how. And they rarely find them. The hiding places are carefully concealed, and we often have to pile dead fish on the deck as well. They hate getting their shiny boots dirtied. He turned his head toward her and grinned. Amory remembered the shiny boots confronting her on the dark path. Uncle Henrik, she said, I'm not sure you are right that I shouldn't know everything, but please, would you tell me about the handkerchief? I knew it was important in the packet, and that's why I ran through the woods to take it to you, but I thought maybe it was a map. How could a handkerchief be important? He set the filled pail and began to wash the cow's udder with a damp cloth. Very few people know about this, Amory, he said with a serious look. But the soldiers are so angry about the escaping Jews and the fact that they can't find them. They have started using trained dogs. They had dogs, the ones that stopped me on the path. Uncle Henrik nodded. Yeah, the dogs are trained to sniff out and find where people are hidden. It happened just yesterday, 2 boats. Those darn dogs, they got right through the dead fish, right to the human scent. We were all very worried. We thought it meant the end of the escape to Sweden by boat. It was Peter who took the problem to scientists and doctors. Some very fine minds have worked night and day to try to find a solution, and they have created a special drug. I don't know what it is, but it was on the handkerchief, and it attracts the dogs, but when they sniff it, it ruins their sense of smell. Imagine that. Amory remembered how the dogs lunged at the handkerchief when they smelled it, and then turned away. Now, thanks to Peter, we each have such a handkerchief. Each boat captain. When the soldiers board our boat, we will simply pull out our handkerchief out of our pockets, and the Germans will probably think that we all have bad colds. The dogs will sniff about sniff the handkerchief we're holding and roam the boat and find nothing. They will smell nothing. They did bring dogs to your boat this morning? Yes, not 20 minutes after you'd gone. I was about to pull away from the dock when the soldiers appeared and ordered me to halt. They came aboard, searched for, and found nothing. By then, of course, I had the handkerchief. If not, well, his voice trailed off. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. If I had not found that packet where Mr. Rosen had dropped it, if I had not run through the woods, if the soldiers had not taken the basket, if I had not reached the boat in time, all of this whirled in Anne Marie's head. They are safe in Sweden now? She asked. Are you sure? Uncle Henrik stood, patted the cow's head. I saw them ashore. There are people waiting to take them to shelter. They are quite safe there. But if the Nazis invade Sweden, will the Rosens have to run away again? That won't happen. For reasons of their own, Nazis want Sweden to remain free. It is very complicated. Amory thoughts turned to her friends hiding underneath the deck of the Ingenborg. Oh, it must have been awful for them so many hours under there, she murmured. Was it dark in the hiding place? Dark, cold, and very cramped, and Mrs. Rosen was seasick. Even though we were on the sea very long. It was a short distance, as you know, but they are courageous people, and none of that mattered when they stepped ashore. The air was fresh and cool in Sweden, and the wind was blowing, and the baby began to wake as I said goodbye to them. I wonder if I will ever see Ellen again, Amory said sadly. You will, little one. You saved her life, after all. Some day you'll find her again. Some day the war will end, Uncle Henrik said. All wars do. Now then, he added, stretching, that was quite a milking lesson, was it not, Uncle Henrik? Amory shrieked. And then they began to laugh. Look, she pointed. The god of thunder had fallen into the milk pail.